She came for feedback after the signatures about she came for feedback on the case because she could give it to her.
This table over there.
And she told me,
Yes. So can we move this table over here? So where we're having the issue is I have so many exhibits, and so does Scott, and if I feel like if we moved it this way, but is it too much of an obstruction?
Which way did you say?
Like this way? So that we could put the exhibits on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this way?
No. Like it is there, but
Oh,
here.
comes this way?
Because when we're here and I've got 40 photos, I am getting so unorganized because I can't see them. No, I want the, can we put the white one here?
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I just think it would be easier for us for photos.
Yeah, no problem. As long as you can work, you're good. That'll work.
I just think if we're able to see the photos, that it would be, because I get up there and I lose them, and then I don't know where I'm at, so I need to be able to see them.
No problem.
because they want everybody.
No, she likes it.
Everybody. Yep. So what time do you think I'm watching for my phone. No. I told Kim. Have they opened yet? Okay.
My wife says, don't go there if you're hungry. You talking about what?
Because you're not going to stop eating.
Don't go there if you're hungry.
I know, I still.
Yeah, no.
I missed this when I left, I guess. So New Year's Eve was my choice section.
Yes.
Hey, got it?
Yes.
The pizza ovens.
So today's
Do
just
you have a pizza? How was it?
Just historical. And I heard, and Oliver's here, he responded to
I know it's a
Vicky's order, and he's just going to testify like 2 sentences that it happened, and then he responded. I didn't realize he was able to get here today, but apparently he is
My
here.
favorite pizza is
But
actually
won't be till after this afternoon.
Or
I'll send everybody an email, I'm sorry.
I think it's called Shiraz.
Good morning. All right, State, you ready to proceed?
State's ready.
Okay, defense?
Judge, if I may?
Yeah.
Your Honor, I know that Detective Nieder is coming on. It's fluid because of, in talking to the state, witnesses that they need to get on for
Right.
sure. But in an abundance of caution, we can take this up before Detective Nieder takes the stand, depending on how the day goes.
Yeah, let's do
But
it
I
over lunch.
just need to reinitiate our conversation from
Yeah.
yesterday.
That's fine, let's do it over the lunch break. Okay, defendants are present, defense counsel's present, state's present. Let's get the Detective Alvarado back on the stand. Alverson, sorry.
That's okay. He's outside. Yes.
Lucy's gonna have that.
And are all of our jurors here?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Once the detective takes the stand, let's go bring him in.
Yes, Judge. Ready, Judge?
Yeah?
All rise. All jurors are in, Judge.
Okay, very good. Everyone have a seat. All right, welcome back, members of our jury. Since we saw each other last, has anybody watched, read, listened to any news accounts or social media posts related to this case? Have you done any independent investigation or talked to anybody about anything related to this case? Okay, all right, very good. All right, Detective, you remain under oath from yesterday,
Yes.
and Mr. Harmon, you may proceed. Yep.
Publishing stage one. Detective, when we left off yesterday, we were discussing the south end of the home to suites. This area to the west of the portico, where a lot of the evidence markers, the yellow cones, were located.
Yes, sir.
So I want to revisit that area. Publishing states 8 G's in golf. Detective, when items of evidence are located in a homicide scene, such as this case, at some point, if it's in an area where law enforcement has access, meaning it's not something that is a privately protected area like a residence where you have to obtain a warrant. In this circumstance, to process this scene in a parking lot, did you have to obtain a warrant or wait for anything?
No, we did not.
Okay. So after finding the evidence and going through, viewing it, did crime scene technicians from the Tampa Police Department begin to process this area?
Yes, they did.
And was that under you and Detective Kirkpatrick's guidance?
Yes, it was.
And were you consulting with them during that process?
Yes.
The evidence markers, are photographs taken of this area first before the evidence markers are placed there?
Yes, they are.
Is that to document the scene as it appears, as it was found?
Yes, it is.
And then the evidence markers are placed there, are they placed there to mark and give a specific marker to each item of evidence?
Yes.
Once that is done, are more photographs taken?
Once that's done, we actually do scans with LiDAR of the scene, so we have measurements and everything built into those scans. And then as they go through to collect the evidence, additional photographs are taken, long range, medium range, close range photos of each evidence marker and each piece of evidence that's collected.
Now, we saw several photographs yesterday from multiple angles facing in different directions around this portico.
Yes, sir.
All right. And are the photographs being taken to historically document the crime scene as it appeared and these evidence markers?
Yes, it is.
Once they're placed.
Yes, sir.
At some point, are these items of evidence collected?
Yes.
Who does the collection?
The collection itself is done by the crime scene techs that are assigned to work that scene.
And when they're collecting the evidence, are they taking precautions of any kind to protect the integrity of the evidence that's being collected?
Yes, they are.
Can you tell the jury or explain to them what type of precautions they take?
Sure. In this particular case, the items like shell casings, the crime scene techs are wearing nitrile gloves as they're collecting the shell casings. They're using basically, for lack of better words, a stick that goes into the open end of the shell casing to pick it up, so they're not actually handling the casing. And in this particular case, these casings were actually placed in a specialized container. Each individual casing was placed in that container to provide or to prevent that casing from moving around, rattling around for the potential of any potential, or to protect the potential of any DNA evidence that may have been found. Obviously, while handling the vehicles that were involved, again, the crime scene techs and everyone involved is wearing gloves to prevent any kind of contamination to those pieces of evidence. While inspecting the body of the deceased with the medical examiner, likewise, everyone is wearing gloves. Everyone to make sure there's no cross-contamination. If there is some kind of contamination on the gloves, it's standard process for us to remove those gloves and put a new pair of gloves on to prevent any kind of cross-contamination going forward from there.
So the crime scene technicians have boxes of these gloves in the crime scene units that they arrive in?
Yes, they do.
And you're talking about nitrile gloves, I believe they're called,
Yes,
like
sir.
very thin rubber gloves, and they were just being torn off as any kind of contamination occurs as items are touched. They're changing those frequently
Yes, sir.
to avoid cross-contamination.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, state would tender states 9A as an alpha through AA.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise? Oh, or, I'm sorry, no objection, okay, very good. And then, Mr. Petranis? No objection. Okay, admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I'm going to walk through the markers and some of the items. In the, looking at these exhibits, do you recognize those in that area of the crime scene?
Yes, they do.
All right. And let me go back to our states 1. Where did I put that? So looking again at states 1, our overhead, were these items that were located over near this entrance, between the entrance and the portico area?
Yes, they were.
And did they appear to you to be items consistent with a minor collision of motor vehicles?
Yes, they did.
Did your investigation later reveal that there was a collision between two motor vehicles that were fleeing from the shooting in this case?
Yes.
So in this instance, are those items marked with evidence markers?
Yes, they are.
And you indicated earlier that after the evidence markers are placed on the items, that photographs are then taken close up, and in perspective and then close up.
Yes, sir.
States 9B is in Bravo. Is this an item that was located within the crime scene that has been marked and now photographed?
Yes.
And does that appear to be a projectile of some type?
Yes, it does.
States 9C, C as in Charlie. Is this just a more close-up photograph of that?
Yes, sir.
Same item.
Yes, sir.
States 9D is in Delta. We see evidence marker 23. We talked about this earlier. Would you agree with me that that is south of the portico, slightly east of the portico?
Yes.
Okay. States 9E is an echo, a close-up of that item. Does that also appear to be a projectile?
Yes, sir. Or jacketing, but yes, projectile.
Now, you mentioned jacketing. Have you been involved through your law enforcement career in investigations involving gunfire?
Yes, sir.
Whether it was a homicide or some other type of investigation?
Yes, sir.
Have you been involved in investigations where the gunfire travels through an intermediate barrier such as automotive glass, sheet metal, sheet rock, if it's in a residence or a building, something like that?
Yes, sir.
And is it common or uncommon to see jacketing on projectiles, on bullets, separate from the core of the bullet?
Yes, it is.
It's common.
Yes, it is common.
And that's why you say this, you're recognizing this as a possible jacket to a projectile?
Yes, sir.
States 9F is in Foxtrot. Does this photo depict the windows we were speaking about yesterday that are to the east of the front entrance?
Yes, sir. Underneath the portico.
And do we see an evidence marker down here?
Yes, sir.
Do you see material around that marker?
Yes, there's shattered glass on the shattered window above it.
Okay. And is that what that greenish white material is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just above it, we see a window that appears to have damage.
Yes, sir.
In your experience, would that be consistent with gunfire, damage caused by gunfire?
Yes, it would.
States 9G is in golf. We'll probably come back to this evidence marker so we can see where it is in the scene, but at this evidence marker, is there another item that appears to be related to gunfire?
Yes, it appears to be more bullet jacketing or fragments.
States 9H as in hotel. In this photograph, at the bottom of the photograph, we see evidence markers 26 and 27.
Yes, sir.
26 appears to be at the crease of the wall and the ground there at the bottom of the wall.
Yes, sir.
Appears to be some type of tile
Yes, sir.
or brick, okay? And then to the south of that, there's a pillar with a evidence marker next to it, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
27, all right. So at 26, there's an evidence marker, and if you go up that wall above it, there appears to be some defect in the wall. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And did that appear to be something that is related to, or was related to gunfire?
Yes, it appears to be some type of projectile strike.
Okay. Just moving it a little closer to look at it. Have you seen brick like this and exterior walls on buildings struck by gunfire before.
Yes, I have.
Did this appear to be consistent with that?
It did.
Were there other holes and divots in that wall?
I don't believe in that portion of the wall. No.
Now, when a high-powered rifle projectile or a pistol projectile impacts a wall like that, can that also cause separation of a jacket and the core of a bullet?
Yes, it can.
Now, going to the pillar, we have this evidence marker 27. If we move up the pillar, was there also some type of defect on the pillar?
Yes, appears to be another projectile strike.
States 9I is in India. Is this in the portico, on the ground near the vehicle that belonged to one of the employees?
Yes, sir.
Evidence marker 28, and I believe we were looking at that, maybe looking at that earlier in isolation. Was there some item found here that appeared to be related to gunfire?
Yes, sir. A piece of a projectile or fragment.
Okay. States 9J is in Juliet. Is that a close-up of the same area?
It is, yes, sir.
And same item?
Yes, sir.
Now, does that appear to you to be jacketing or possibly part of the core of a projectile?
Part of the core of a projectile more than the jacketing, the lead core of the projectile itself.
In the core of rifle and pistol ammunition, one of the possible materials could be lead.
Yes, sir.
States 9K is in kilo. Does this also appear to be an area, we can see the edge of a pillar over here in the beginning of a sidewalk, so maybe this looks like it may be the western edge of the portico.
Yes, sir. It's the very western edge of the portico.
So if we were to proceed this direction, we would come to the Lexus SUV parked in the handicap spot?
Yes, sir.
So we see here, furthest east, evidence marker 29, then evidence marker 30, then evidence marker 31 as we proceed to the west. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And evidence marker 33, 34, 32 over to the far left of the photograph?
Yes, sir.
This photograph, is this a close-up of evidence marker 29?
It is.
And again, were there items located that were marked in this photograph?
Yes, sir. More bullet fragments.
Okay. Now, these fragments, does that appear to be two different types of fragments?
It's hard to say from the photo, sir. I know the top one is definitely jacketing because of the color of it. It's hard to say if that's just a piece of jacketing turned the other way or if that's a core, but they're definitely bullet fragments.
In addition to separation of jacketing from the core, when high-powered rifle rounds and pistol rounds are impacting hard objects or intermediate barriers, can the core be deformed or can it be chipped or separated?
Yes, it can.
Okay. States 9, M. So Mike, in this photograph, those appear to be the same two items
Yes, sir.
without the marker. Well, actually, the
Just
marker is
close
to the
close
right.
enough.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One of the other evidence markers in that area of the scene, evidence marker 30. This is states 9N is in November. To the left in the photograph, we see an item. Does that appear to be jacketing?
It does, yes, sir.
And then above that evidence marker, is there another item I'm pointing to here?
Yes, sir.
Does that appear to be part of maybe a core?
Yes, sir.
Now, this appears to have some kind of a flatter appearance. Is that something that can also happen to bullet rounds when they separate and the core separates, that it can hit something hard and it can be flattened?
Yeah, depending on the hardness of the object that it's striking.
Q is in Quebec. In this photograph, just a close-up of that same item?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Going to another evidence marker in this western edge of the portico, this is states 9R, is in Romeo. Evidence marker 31. Detective, does that appear to be an item associated with gunfire?
Yes, sir. There appears to be a projectile.
States 9S is in Sierra. Evidence marker 32, same area. Is there another item now being documented?
Yes, sir.
Does that item also appear to be associated with gunfire?
Yes, sir. It appears that it possibly fragmentation from the vehicle that was struck by the gunfire itself.
States 9U is in uniform. We see evidence marker 33 now, and we can see the sidewalk up here, and then the beginning of the asphalt of the parking lot. So I want to talk about evidence marker 93. We're on an area of ground that is between the portico bricks and the parking lot. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's the very western edge of the portico where it meets the parking lot, looking to the north.
States 9 V, and this is this is evidence marker 33. Is this documenting this red substance?
Yes, sir.
Possibly blood. Is that why it's being documented?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
States 9X is an X-ray. See evidence marker 34. Now we are moving into the asphalt of the parking lot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at this evidence marker, let me zoom in. Would it be fair to say there are two items being marked here?
Yes.
Okay. And do those appear to be items that may be associated to gunfire?
Yes, sir.
States 9Y is in Yankee. This appears to be on the sidewalk, maybe looking west-southwest, the angle of the camera.
It's the southern portion of the building, probably looking, if your back was facing the portico where the sidewalk begins and the parking lot begins, so looking generally west. Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that appear to be documenting some stain on the sidewalk?
I believe it's the.
Or is there an item?
I believe it's documenting the
Oh,
piece
the
of
item. Okay.
jacketing.
Okay, so there is a piece of jacketing there. All right. That's 35. Okay, here we go. States 9, Z is in zebra. Same evidence marker, but 35. So now we can see that item.
Yes, sir.
Close up. Does that appear to you to be some type of jacketing or a portion of jacketing?
It does, yes, sir.
On some of the jacketing, I'm going to use a paper clip as my pointer. We see these lines on the jacketing. On some of them we've seen.
Yes, sir.
In your experience and based on your knowledge of firearms and investigations involving firearms, could that be consistent with impressions left by the rifling of a barrel?
It could, yes, sir.
States 9AA. This is evidence marker 36. I'm I'm zoom in, there appears to be an item or items to the right of that evidence marker.
Yes.
Maybe even 3 items that are being
Yes, sir.
documented? Okay, all right. After being photographed, after these photographs were taken, at some point, did the crime scene technician under you and Detective Kirkpatrick's direction collect those items?
Yes, sir.
When they're collected, you've indicated, or you already told us, the precautions that are taken to prevent contamination and to preserve the evidence. Are the items placed into some kind of a container, individually packaged and separated from other items?
Yes, sir. Depending on the item that's collected, obviously will dictate the type of container, but yes, each individual piece of evidence is generally packaged separately.
Your Honor, the state would tender states 10A through 10Y.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sonardi?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Wise? And Mr. Petraeus? Okay, admitted. With me? Yes.
So I'm going to go back to State's Exhibit 8M. We've already seen this photograph, Detective. This, if I recall your testimony, is showing the western edge of the portico facing to the south-southwest.
Yes, sir.
So I want to draw your attention on, hopefully this is going to give us a good enough definition to see it, to this evidence marker 37. Moving to states 10A as an alpha. At evidence marker 37, which we've just seen is just to the west, southwest of the portico, is there an item that is being documented?
Yes, sir. It's a shell casing.
Is that one of the shell casings that you saw on the crime scene that were later identified as 9mm shell casings?
Yes, sir.
And those would be shell casings that would be consistent with being fired by a 9mm pistol?
Yes, sir.
States 10B is in Bravo. Do we now see the gloves that you were talking about earlier being
Yes, sir.
utilized?
Yes.
And is the item being picked up and held in order to document it photographically?
Yes, sir.
And is the top part or the bottom, actually the bottom part of the shell casing, the head of the shell casing, is it being documented here?
It is. Yes, sir.
Now, if I rotate the photo, do we actually see the caliber of the shell casing?
Yes, sir, 9x19.
And you recognize that as another way, another nomenclature for 9mm?
It is, yes, sir.
And we see a designation of MXT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And could that potentially be the a marker for the brand
Yes, sir.
of the ammunition? Okay. States 10C is in Charlie. We are going to move down the, now down the, to the west down the sidewalk towards, and we can see the beginning or the top part of the photograph, the edge of the handicap spot. At states, or I'm sorry, at evidence marker 38 in states 10C, do we see an item being marked here?
Yes, I believe it's actually marking 2 shell casings, one to the, as you're looking at it, one to the left and one to the right of that evidence marker. So it'd be 38A and 38B.
Slightly more close-up photograph.
Yes, sir.
States 10E is an echo. Again, is the crime scene technician now holding one of those shell casings to document the head of the case?
Yes, sir.
And does it appear to have consistent markings with the other shell casing?
Yes, sir, it does.
Same brand, MXT, same caliber?
Yes, sir.
And states 10F is in Foxtrot. A close-up of one of those shell casings?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And states 10G is in Golf. Is the tech again now holding one of those shell casings to document the head of the case?
Yes, sir.
Now, is it again consistent in ammunition manufacturer and caliber?
It is, yes, sir.
States 10H is in Hotel. We're looking at the shrubbery or plants that are in the that little planter area just to the west of the, or to the east of the handicap spot. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we see an evidence marker 39.
Yes.
Okay. Evidence marker 39, just a more close-up photograph. And this is states 10I is in India. Hard to see. Does it appear to be marking a shell casing?
It does, yes, sir.
Okay. And states 10J is in Juliet.
That's a close-up of that shell casing that's being marked by evidence marker 39 in the bottom of the shrubs.
States 10K is in Kilo. And again, is the evidence, is that item picked up using gloves and using this piece of metal wire to hold it and then documenting the head stamp?
Yes, sir.
And does the head of the case have the same ammunition manufacturer markings?
It does, yes, sir.
Is it the same caliber as the other shell casing?
It is, yes, sir.
States 10L is in Lima. Is this a photograph of the second plant that's in that area to the, that's just to the south of the other or just to the side of it?
It is, yes, sir.
And we see a marker in here, marker number 40.
I believe it's marking evidence to the bottom of that marker to the right.
Yep. States 10M. And we see the shell casing that's being marked.
Yes, sir.
States 10N is in November. And again, crime scene technician is holding this up with the wire, wearing gloves, and photographing the base of the shell casing.
Yes, sir.
Does the shell casing appear to be marked the same as the other shell casings?
Yes, sir, it does.
States 10O is an Oscar. Outside of the that area of the plants now into the parking area, we see evidence markers 41 and evidence marker 42. At evidence marker 41, does there appear to be another shell casing?
Yes, sir, it does.
States 10P is in Papa, and just a close-up of that shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 10Q is in Quebec. Same process being followed by the crime scene tech?
Yes, sir.
Same markings on the shell casing?
Yes, sir.
States 10R is in Romeo. Evidence marker 42, another shell casing?
Yes, sir.
Close-up of the shell casing?
Yes, sir.
States 10, T, I think that's T is in Tango. Same process being followed,
Yes, sir.
and same markings on the base of the shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 10U is in uniform. Evidence marker 43 does appear to be another shell casing,
It does, yes, sir.
and evidence marker 44 another shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 10V is in Victor. Just a close-up at evidence marker 43 of the shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 10W is in Whiskey. Is the same process being followed here with that shell casing?
It is, yes, sir.
And is it marked the same as the other shell casing?
Yes, it is, sir.
States 10X is an X-ray. Evidence marker 44, another shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 10Y is in Yankee. And this is the same process for collection of that evidence being followed by the tech.
Yes, it is.
And is that shell casing marked exactly the same as the others as far as manufacturer and caliber?
It is, yes, sir.
State with tender states 11A through 11U for admission into evidence.
I'm sorry, what was the number again?
11A through 11U.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise? Mr. Petratus? Admitted?
Publishing states 11A is an alpha. We are moving now a little bit south into the parking lot, and we see evidence markers 40, 45, 49, and 48. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at all of these, well, let's start with 49. Well, actually, let's start at 45. Close-up of states 45. This is states 11B is in Bravo. Do we see two shell casings?
Yes, sir.
States 11C is in Charlie. Is one of those being photographed in isolation?
Yes, sir.
And is that shell casing now in states 11D is in Delta being picked up with the gloves, with the wire, and the head stamp being photographed?
Yes, sir.
Same markings as the other shell casings?
Yes, sir, same head stamp.
States 11E, still at evidence marker 45, the other shell casing?
Yes, sir.
States 11F, same process being followed by the crime scene technician as to that item?
Yes, sir.
And the same process as far as documenting the base of the shell casing?
Yes, sir.
And is the stamping on the shell casing the same as all the other shell casings?
It is, yes, sir.
Same manufacturer of ammunition or brand?
Yes.
Now moving to states 46, and this is states 11G is in golf. Do we see another shell casing?
Yes, sir.
States 11H is in hotel, same process being followed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and just to make this a little faster, same head stamp.
Yes, sir, same
Now,
head stamp.
when I say head stamp, do you understand that to mean that the base of the shell casing is being stamped, how it's being stamped? It's
Yes, sir.
head stamp, okay, and that would include the caliber, the, if the manufacturer puts some kind of initials there for their, I know sometimes like federal cartridge is FC, and they may have other designations, like this has 23 on there.
Yes.
Okay, all right. States 11I, as in India, evidence marker 47, and there is another shell casing being marked.
Yes, sir.
States 11J is in Juliet, same evidence marker, close-up of that shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 11K is in Kilo, same process being followed.
Yes.
That base of that casing is being photographed and same markings, same head stamp.
Same head stamp, yes, sir.
States 11L is in Lima. We see evidence markers 48, 49, and 45, is that right?
Yes.
At 48, is there a shell casing?
There's two, actually.
2, okay, I see 1 and 2, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and up here at 49, there's a shell casing?
Yes.
That's visible, okay. States 11M, it's in Mike. At 48, we see the 2 shell casings.
Yes, sir.
States 11N is in November, same process being followed by the tech,
Yes,
same
sir.
head stamp,
Yes, sir.
same markings.
Yes, sir.
States 11O is in Oscar, at evidence marker 48, the other shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 11P is in Papa, and the crime scene technician is utilizing same process to photograph the base,
Yes.
same head stamp.
Yes, sir.
States 11Q is in Quebec, we have evidence marker 49, another shell casing, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And in states 11R is in Romeo, crime scene tech, same process, photographing the base of the shell casing, and it has a same head stamp.
Yes, sir.
States 11S is in Sierra, evidence marker 50. And is there a shell casing?
Yes, there is.
States 11. Going back to this one, states 11, that I didn't publish yet, states 11T is in Tango. At evidence marker 50, we see this shell casing. Does the shell casing appear to be deformed in some way?
It does, yes, sir.
And can you explain or describe?
Towards the end away from where the head stamp would be the base of the shell casing, basically at the opened end of the shell casing, it's compressed down slightly.
In the sequence of events that you later saw in a video of the shooting event, did it appear to you that these shell casings were deposited onto the ground before the Dodge Charger moved?
Yes, sir.
States 11U is in uniform. With that shell casing, same process being followed.
Yes, sir.
And the same head stamp, same markings as the other shell casings.
That's correct.
Can we bring them to you? Okay. Your Honor, we would tender states 12A through 12U.
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Snarty? Any objection? Mr. Wise? Mr. Petratus? Admitted?
States 12A is an alpha. Are we now looking at an area just to the east of the handicap spot, maybe looking north in the photograph, back towards the building?
Yes, looking north, and I believe this is further west from the last sequence of photos, so further west away from the portico.
From the portico?
Yes, sir.
This would be the tire of the Lexus up here in the corner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at that evidence marker in the center there, 51, states 12B is in Bravo, we see a shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 12C, with that shell casing, the same process being followed?
It is, yes, sir.
And do the markings on the base of the shell casing appear to be the same?
They do.
States 12D is in Delta, we're at evidence marker 52. Is there a shell casing being marked?
Yes, sir.
States 12E is in Echo, same process being followed?
Yes,
As far
sir.
as collection and photographing?
Yes, sir.
And does that shell casing appear to have the same markings?
It does, yes, sir.
States 12F, evidence marker 53, we can see the shell casing in the white paint.
Yes, sir.
States 12G, and collection of that shell casing was the same process followed.
It was, yes, sir.
And were the markings on the base of the shell casing the same?
Yes, they were.
States 12H is in hotel, evidence marker 54. We're now moving slightly into the handicap spot or parking area. At 54, we can see a shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 54, evidence marker 54, states 12I is in India. Is that the shell casing and close-up?
It is, yes, sir.
States 12J is in Juliet. Same process being followed with the collection and photographing of that item?
Yes, sir.
Same markings on the head stamp.
Yes, sir.
States 12K is in Kilo, evidence marker 55, another shell casing.
It is, yes, sir.
Same process being followed as reflected in states 12L is in Lima.
Yes, sir.
Same markings on that shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 12M is in Mike. We see 3 evidence markers. This would be the front driver's side tire of the Lexus.
Yes, sir.
That's being shown in the upper left corner of the photograph.
That's correct.
And we're at evidence markers 56 in the blue painted area of the handicap spot, evidence marker 58, and evidence marker 57, which appears to be just under the edge of the Lexus behind the front driver's side tire.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shell casings marked at all of those?
Yes.
So we go back to states 12H, as in hotel, to evidence marker 56. Shell casing,
Yes, sir.
pretty obvious in that blue painted area.
Yes, sir.
States 12O is an Oscar. Same process being followed in collection and photographing of the item.
Yes, sir.
Same information, same markings on the base of the head of the casing.
That's correct.
States 12Q as in Quebec. Evidence marker 57 just under the edge of the Lexus, another shell casing.
Yes, sir.
States 12R is in Romeo. Same process being followed by the crime scene technician
It is, yes, sir.
in collection and photographing.
Yes, sir.
Same information on that, that's stamped onto the base of that
Yes, sir.
shell casing. All right. States 12S is in Sierra. We see those three that we've just talked about, the three evidence markers. Now we're seeing evidence marker 59 and evidence marker 60
Yes, sir.
and evidence marker 58 again, because I don't know if we've addressed 58 yet. Okay, so moving to states 12, T is in Tango. Now at evidence marker 58, we see the shell casing. Is that accurate?
That is, yes, sir.
And states 12U is in uniform. Same process followed with the collection of that shell casing.
Yes, sir, it is.
And does the base of the shell casing have the same markings as the other shell casing?
Yes, it does.
State with tender, Your Honor. Exhibit 13A is an alpha through I is an India for admission into evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise? Mr. Petratus? Admitted?
Publishing 13A. Are we looking at the front area of the Lexus?
Yes, we are.
And now we're looking at evidence marker 60, 61, and 62,
That's correct.
and evidence marker 59.
Yes, sir.
States 13B is in Bravo at evidence marker 59, shell casing.
It is, yes, sir.
States 13C is in Charlie. Was the same process followed by the crime scene technician with collection and photographing?
Yes, it was.
Was the same head stamp on that shell casing as all the others?
Yes, it was.
States 13D is in Delta. We're now at evidence marker 60, another shell casing.
It is, yes, sir.
States 13E is in Echo, same process followed by the crime scene personnel.
Yes, sir.
Item is being photographed and collected here.
Yes, it is.
Is the same stampings on the base of that cartridge case as all the others.
They are, yes, sir.
States 13F is in Foxtrot, evidence marker 61, shell casing.
It is, yes, sir.
Located. And states 13G, do we see the crime scene technician following the same procedure with collection and photographing?
Yes, we do.
And does this cartridge case have the same head stamp markings as the others?
Yes, sir.
States 13H is in Hotel at evidence marker 62, right to the front, looks like front left of the, actually in the front of the Lexus, another shell casing.
Yes, sir, it is.
States 13I is in India. And with that shell casing, was it collected and photographed in the same way as all the others, and did it have the same head stamp markings as the other shell casings?
Yes, it was. And yes, it is.
Detective, were there a total of 31 shell casings collected in this scene?
Yes, sir.
Were they all 9mm shell casings?
They were.
Did they all have MXT marked on them?
They did.
On the base of the shell casings?
Yes, they did, sir.
State would tender Exhibit 14.
Okay, any objection? Mr. Gonzalez?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sonardi?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Wise? Mr. Petratus? Okay, admitted.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Previously seen that, Detective?
I have, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And do you recognize it?
Yes, sir.
Now, earlier you told us that these items are being placed into separate containers.
That's correct.
In this case, and I'm going to publish, Your Honor, States 14. What type of packaging is this?
This is a standard manila envelope used for packaging pieces of evidence.
And is this type of packaging, this envelope, the paper envelope, is that something that is commonly utilized in law enforcement for the collection of items of evidence such as projectiles or shell casings?
Yes, sir.
Is that something you've seen throughout your law enforcement career?
Yes, sir.
Now, when this item is collected, is there a label that is prepared by the Tampa Police Department at some point after its collection?
Yes, once it's collected and submitted to the property control room, the property control room will assign it a tag with a identifying number on there.
All right. Now, I want to talk about a couple of the other things that are on this packaging and kind of walk through the process of its collection. So the item is collected. We saw the crime scene technicians using the gloves to protect the integrity of the item. The item is then placed into that envelope?
Yes, sir.
Where is the envelope placed there at the scene?
At the scene, the crime scene techs gather all the pieces of evidence, the envelopes that contain the pieces of evidence. Those are generally stored in large paper bags, almost like shopping bags. Those paper bags are brought with them as they collect evidence throughout the scene. Once obviously it gets too much, they're secured inside one of the crime lab vans and locked inside of there while we continue to process the scene.
Okay. At some point, once the scene is fully processed and the crime scene personnel clear the scene, do they drive their crime scene lab van somewhere?
Yes, they drive directly to police headquarters where the forensic investigation unit is based out of, and they unload those pieces of evidence, bring it to the forensic investigation unit's office to begin their process.
Okay. And where is that, the headquarters?
Tampa Police Headquarters is located at 411 North Franklin Street.
Is that right here in downtown Tampa?
It is, yes, sir.
Just a couple blocks from here?
It is, yes, sir.
All right. And does it consist of a building that has multiple floors?
Yes, sir.
Is one of those floors, or on one of those floors, is there a property or evidence section or evidence room?
Yes, sir.
Some agencies call it an evidence section, some call it a property room.
Yes, sir.
And is there a secured area there where evidence such as this is maintained and stored?
Yes.
Is there personnel from the Tampa Police Department that is their job to ensure the integrity of that area?
Yes, sir.
Was this item eventually taken there?
Yes, it was.
And would that be the process, or would that be where this label is prepared?
Yes.
And does the person who's collecting it give input as to that?
Input as to how?
The information contained in the label.
Yes. When the evidence is actually submitted, as it's submitted, that there's a property entry sheet that it has to be filled out. Each item number has a description block next to it, where the person who's submitting that evidence completes the item number, the package number, and the description of that evidence. That information is then transcribed by one of the evidence control technicians that works in the section, and that's the information that gets put onto the label.
So I want to go to this label and kind of walk through it with you. First of all, we see a barcode.
Yes, sir.
Are these items inventoried in the property section by use of computers and barcodes?
Yes, they are.
On top of this, we see this 1847503-5. Is that some type of a crime scene number and item number or something like that that is utilized to document this item?
That's the evidence control number. So once that piece of evidence is brought to whoever is submitting the evidence to the evidence control section, that individual piece of evidence will get a control number. So the first string of 7 numbers there would be the control number, and then the -5 would be the item that's associated with that.
So the control number may be in common with other items of evidence, but that item number, that number 5, is distinct and different from all the other items under that control number.
Yes, sir.
Now, below that we see DESC:, And then, is that a description section?
That's the description of the item of evidence that's inside the envelope, yes,
Is
sir.
the number of items documented?
Yes, sir.
And here we have it looks like the same nomenclature that's on the bottom or the base of the shell casing.
That's correct.
Caliber, 9mm.
Yes, sir.
A description of the item itself,
Yes, sir.
casing. What is the EM number 62?
That's evidence marker number 62, so that's annotating which evidence marker that item specifically came from the scene.
Okay. And case, and then we have 2024-365605. Is that the report number for the Tampa Police Department for this investigation?
Yes, sir.
Then we have evidence that indicates yes, the report date, June 24th, 2024, and the officer, Sarah Price.
Yes, sir.
Package number. All right.
Yes, sir.
When this label is placed, after this label is placed on there, is this item then placed into the property room and stored there?
Yes, it is.
Now, if the item is and also, when it is sealed, is there evidence tape that is placed onto the envelope
Yes, sir.
around the seal, which would be here, the folding top portion of the envelope?
Yes, sir.
And is the date that the seal, the evidence tape was placed on there, is it written across the tape and into the envelope?
It is, yes, sir.
And is this also to ensure the integrity of the storage of the item?
Yes, it is.
If the item is transported to a laboratory, like a state laboratory, like the one maintained here in Tampa, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, are you familiar with that laboratory?
I am, yes, sir.
Have you dealt with them on numerous cases in your career?
I have, yes, sir.
And if they open this, once this is submitted for analysis to them, do they place their own tape on the item?
They do.
And do you see their tape that you recognize as FDLE tape?
Yes, I do, sir.
And we see the DLE in this tape here?
That's correct.
Okay. And does that appear to be FDLE tape?
It does, yes, sir.
Okay. And when the item is submitted to their laboratory for analysis, do they actually prepare a separate label, a yellow label that they place on the item?
Yes, sir.
Okay. May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Detective, in this case, we have this exterior envelope, and then there's a smaller interior envelope.
Yes, sir.
So the smaller interior envelope, was that also utilized by the crime scene tech who collected this item of evidence to place into that first,
Yes, sir.
before placing that into the larger envelope?
That's correct.
And is the interior envelope, which we're looking at now as part of States 14, same type of thing, just a smaller envelope?
Yes, it is.
So just brown paper?
Yes, same material that the envelope's made out of, a
Okay.
small manila envelope.
And in this situation, we see evidence marker number 62 being reflected,
Yes, sir.
and we see the TPD report number.
That's correct.
We see the description being handwritten onto this envelope,
Yes, sir.
and it looks like the date and the time of the collection,
That's correct.
15/16, 3:16 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. The initial of the person collecting it and their PID or personal identification number.
That's correct.
Okay. The 9mm shell casings, from what you saw, and we're going to talk about the video that was collected there in a minute, but from what you saw of the video that reflects the actual shooting, do the casings appear to be in an area that would be consistent with the person on the far, or well, let me put it directionally, to the far north towards the edge of the building during the incident that is firing a weapon, to be near that person and be consistent with his pistol firing and leaving those shell casings?
Yes, sir.
State would tender states 15A through 15K for admission into evidence.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez, any objection?
No objection, Your
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Petratus? Admitted?
Publishing states 15A is an alpha. Detective, I want to revisit these windows again. We've already talked about the evidence marker, the broken glass. We see the crime scene tape that has been placed in this scene, is that right?
Yes, sir.
States 15B is in Bravo. See the same area again,
That's correct.
but I'm going to draw your attention to an area here by my finger. Did there appear to be some kind of a defect or damage to the framing of the window there?
Yes, it did.
States 15C is in Charlie, a more close-up of that area.
Yes, sir.
Did that damage appear to be consistent with gunfire?
Yes.
States 15D is in Delta. Is this just a more close-up photograph with a scale being utilized, a measuring scale?
Yes, sir.
We see what appears to be an impact and then some type of debris being deposited onto the framing of the window
Yes, sir.
from the impact.
That's correct.
We also see in this aluminum or metal here in the frame that there's defects and damage.
Yes, sir.
Did it appear that that was where the glass was broken and then it just shattered?
Yes, that appeared to be the projectile strike that resulted in the shattering of the glass.
States 15C, back to the divot in the wall at states 26. States 15F is in Foxtrot, a more close-up photo of that. States 15G is in Golf. So now we see that defect, would that be fair to say, Detective?
Yes,
In scale,
that's correct.
okay. And it appears this scale is centimeters.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned earlier, we discussed, and this is states 15H, the vehicle that was parked underneath this awning of the portico, the vehicle's facing to the east. Would that be fair?
Yes, it is.
And that vehicle was there, parked there during the incident as reflected by the video.
It was, yes, sir.
And the employee was there working.
Yes, sir.
Okay. States 15I is in India. We see an evidence marker 64 on top of the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
States 15J is in Juliet. Do we see an area there that marker is there to mark?
Yes, sir. It's there to mark the defect on the top of where the roof meets the B pillar of the passenger side rear door and window.
States 15K is in Kilo. This area, does it appear to be damaged?
Yes, it does.
Does that damage, would it be consistent with being caused by gunfire?
It is, yes, sir.
State would tender 16A through 16R, 16 Alpha through 16 Romeo.
Any
For
objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sonardi?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Wise?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Petratus? admitted.
Publishing 16A. We see a white, looks like a white minivan.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us where that, well, first of all, do you recognize the vehicle?
I do, yes, sir.
Do you recognize the area where it's parked?
It is parked on the east side of the parking lot of the Home 2 Suites, kind of almost opposite the east entrance of the portico.
Opposite the east entrance?
So if you continue through the portico towards the east, towards McKinley, the vehicle would be parked roughly even with the portico, facing east, closest to McKinley.
See if I can find my map. So I'm going to publish states 1 real quick. So east of the portico,
Yes, sir.
in this area here,
Yes, that's correct.
so that vehicle would be facing 40th Street or McKinley?
Yes, sir.
State 16B. Was there some damage that was noted to this vehicle?
Yes, sir.
C is in Charlie. We see the license plate of the motor vehicle.
Yes, sir.
State 16D is in Delta. Underneath the registration date, do we see in one of the letters, or yes, one of the letters, what appears to be damage?
Yes, sir.
Is that damage consistent with being caused by gunfire?
It is, yes, sir.
State 16E. This damage, was this brought to the attention of the Tampa Police Department?
Yes, sir. While we were on scene investigating the rest of the scene, we were approached by the driver of that vehicle.
In 16E, we see a photograph that appears to be the roof of the vehicle. I'm sorry, the hatch, the inside of the hatch of the vehicle after it's been extended up in the rear. And there appears to be some kind of damage that's reflected. Maybe we can get a more close-up 16F. Here it is, right in here.
Yes, sir.
Did it appear that the projectile that caused the damage to the tag number had passed through?
It did, yes, sir.
State 16G, is that just further documentation of that?
It is.
State 16H, there was an item in the rear compartment of the minivan that appeared to have damage in this area?
Yes, sir.
State 16I is in India, is that just documentation of that damage?
It is, yes, sir.
State 16J, and does this photograph reflect damage to one of the rear passenger seats?
Yes, sir.
State 16K. Actually, I think that should be this way. Does it reflect multiple areas of damage?
Yes, it does.
So let me ask you about that. If a rifle round traveling at the speeds that rifle rounds travel at passes through the intermediate barrier of the rear door of the van, have you, in your investigative experience in that type of scenario, seen the rifle round divide either the jacket from the core or the jacket from the core and the core start to separate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And cause damage like this?
Yes.
States 16L is in Lima. Is that just a closer photograph of that damage to the rear passenger seat?
It is, yes, sir.
State 16M. Does this photograph show the front of that seat and potential damage caused by penetration through the seat by those projectiles?
It does, yes, sir.
State 16N. Is that just a close-up of those, of that damage to the seat, the front of the seat?
Yes, sir.
State 16P. Now we're moving to the front seat. Is there damage reflected in the front seat?
Yes, there is.
State 16Q. Just a close-up of the damage.
Yes, sir.
State 16R. Just a close-up of that damage to the rear of the front passenger seat.
Yes, sir, with scalpel.
Did it appear that all of this damage, well, let me ask you, would it be consistent with it having been caused by a single gunshot that went through, a single projectile that went through the rear hatch door and then separated?
Yes, sir.
Go back to states 8B as in Bravo. This photograph, would you agree with me, is facing pretty much directly west?
Yes, sir.
Across the southern end of the hotel, we see the portico to the right.
That's correct.
We see the Lexus motor vehicle in the handicap spot.
Yes, sir.
On that western edge of cars that are parked in spots that are stacked in a north-south direction, we see this empty spot here between this sedan and what appears to be a Mercedes SUV. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I want to talk about that area. I would move, Your Honor, Intender State 17A as an alpha through K as in kilo for admission into evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise? Mr. Petratus? Committed.
Early in the investigation, was this yellow Bronco parked in that spot?
Yes, it was.
And in your investigation of this case, your review of the video of the actual shooting, at some point during the shooting, did a third shooter appear in this area between these two motor vehicles?
Yes, sir.
And was he firing what appeared to be a rifle?
Yes, he was.
So in 17A, we see this yellow Bronco, and we see an evidence marker on top of it, of evidence marker 63.
That's correct.
Is that right? Okay. State 17B is in Bravo, just the back end of the Bronco.
That's correct, sir.
State 17, C is in Charlie. We see the evidence marker on top of the car.
Yes, sir.
And then in 17D, we see damage to the car.
Yes, sir.
If we go back to 17C, does it appear that damage is just above the gas cap area?
Yes, sir.
State 17D. And is the defect to the sheet metal being documented here?
It is, yes, sir.
Does that damage appear to be consistent with being caused by gunfire?
It does, yes, sir.
In the video of the shooting with this shooter, between those two cars, did it appear that the shooter was moving to his left, tracking the Dodge Charger and shooting towards it?
It did, yes, sir.
And in fact, is there one round that is fired and the muzzle flash is somewhat obscured by the Bronco? Maybe part of it can be seen.
Yes.
State 17E, is that a photograph of the interior of the car?
It is, yes, sir.
State 17, F is in Foxtrot. Looks like a photograph of the, well, let me go back to 17E so we can get an idea of what we're looking at. So this area here.
Yes, sir.
In photographing this, were you attempting to document any damage that may have been caused by that round that caused the exterior damage?
Yes, sir.
17G is in golf. Did it appear that there was some type of a defect?
There did, yes, sir.
17H, is this the rear hatch of the Bronco extended up in the air?
It is, yes, sir.
17I is in India. Did there appear to be damage to the inside of the rear hatch?
Yes, sir.
State 17J is in Juliet, and is that documented here?
Yes, sir.
$17K, is this just documentation of more internal or interior damage to the Bronco?
Yes, sir.
And it appears to be a defect or a hole.
Yes, sir.
State Woodtender states 18A is an alpha through J is in Juliet for admission into evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise? Mr. Petratus? Submitted.
States 18A. You recognize this area being shown in this photograph?
Yes, sir. It's the north west corner of the Home 2 Suites building.
State 17, or I'm sorry, 18B is in Bravo. Looking, well, first of all, the camera angle here, would it be fair to say is facing south?
Yeah, pretty much due south, yes, sir.
And the flagpole we see in the distance, would that be back down towards the end of the hotel where the portico is?
Yes, sir.
There is some type of structure here that appears to have a wall. Do you know what that is?
Yes, sir. I believe it was like a dumpster area with a cement wall surrounding it.
I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Was there an item found right here in this area?
Yes, sir. The plastic molding from the underside of a vehicle.
States 18C, as in Charlie. The vehicle parked in that spot, did it appear to have damage?
Yes, it did.
Some type of paint transfer?
That's correct.
States 18, D is in Delta. And is there damage reflected on that motor vehicle on the front driver's side
Yes, it is.
in this area here?
Yes, sir.
Just so we can, I'm going to go back to one real quick, just to kind of orient us to what we're looking at. Got it upside down. Okay. So we're, down here on the south end is the portico,
That's correct.
right? Would it be fair to say we're talking about this area right here?
Yes, sir.
Northwest end of the building?
That's correct.
States 18E. It's an echo. Was there more damage noted to the rear quarter panel, driver's side quarter panel of the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
States 18F is in Foxtrot. Is that just a close-up of the, I believe, the front driver's side quarter panel being transferred, and then go back out?
Yes. Yes, sir.
J is in Juliet. Moving back to the rear, maybe the front quarter panel. There appeared to be a streak going across here.
Yes, sir.
Possible damage of some kind of scraping that occurred to this car.
That's correct.
Did your investigation reveal that that car was parked in that spot during the time of the incident?
Yes, it was, sir.
Otherwise not involved in the incident?
No.
Okay. States 5F is in Foxtrot. You recognize what's depicted?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we see the same Lexus motor vehicle
That's correct.
in the handicap spot. Do you kind of faintly see the trail of liquid coming out of the Dodge Charger?
Yes, sir.
And would this photograph be facing north, slightly northeast?
Yes, sir.
States 5J is in Juliet. And now the camera is moving further north, still documenting a northbound direction.
Yes, sir.
This is a law enforcement vehicle.
Yes, it is.
States 5L is in Lima. Is this the northwest edge corner of the home to suites?
Yes, it is.
Is this the structure you were talking about earlier when we were looking at the car with the damage?
Yes, sir.
It appears to be a dumpster.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are there parking spots that are oriented west to east that run down this western edge of the home to suites.
Yes, sir.
And is this the most northern parking spot before getting to the dumpster grass area?
It is.
Did your investigation reveal, and we can actually see the liquid trail, that the victim's car, the Dodge Charger, while in flight from the shooting, actually went over this curb and through this area?
It did, yes, sir.
And did it take it past the driver's side of the vehicle where you found the damage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then that car ended up here?
That's correct.
Did you find an item in this area that was consistent with being the rear window of the Dodge Charger that had been displaced and fallen off the vehicle?
Yes, we did, sir.
States 5M. Now, is this the area where the Charger would have passed through?
Yes, sir.
And is this camera angle facing directly west towards that small building with the dumpster?
Yes, sir.
And is this the sidewalk that the Dodge Charger would have passed over?
Yes, sir.
This item here, was that the item we saw earlier when we were looking at the car with the damage?
I believe it was depicted in that photo as well. Yes, sir.
And this is a portion of the bottom of the Dodge Charger that was displaced?
Yes, sir. It appears to be the plastic molding that covers the bottom of the engine compartment of the vehicle.
States 5N. Here, do we see that item over here to the left? And wait for this to see if it's going to focus.
Yes, sir.
All right. And does this reflect the path that the Dodge Charger took?
It does, yes, sir.
Okay. States 5P is in Papa. In this photograph, can you see the rear window of the Dodge Charger?
Yes, sir. About center of the frame, more towards the right side of the picture.
This part here.
That's correct.
And does it appear to be in the same shape and appearance as it would be while it was inside of the car,
Yes.
but folded up?
Folded up. Yes, sir.
Okay. And can we see the glass being, it appears to have been shattered?
Yes, sir.
States 5Q. In this photograph, can we see reflection of light off of the liquid that was left?
Yes, sir.
States 5R. Is the Dodge Charger now visible?
It is, yes, sir.
Is this it right here?
It is.
States 5S is in Sierra. Is this the Dodge Charger?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and can we still see the liquid that is being deposited as it's moving?
Yes, sir.
To the left here, we see a Hyundai motor vehicle. Was that one of the motor vehicles that was parked behind the victim when the incident occurred?
Yes, sir.
Or the motor vehicle that was parked behind?
Yes.
Okay. While we're in this exhibit, I'm going to have you look at this in 5T. This would be the northwest edge of the hotel, reflecting all the floors.
Yes, sir.
Just for reference, this is that dumpster area.
That's correct.
States 5U. On the top floor, was there damage noted to this window?
Yes, sir.
Was it later determined to be having been caused by gunfire?
Yes, sir.
Publishing states 5V, it's in Victor. Is that just a more close-up photo of the damage?
It is, yes, sir.
States 5N. Is this another window that was impacted by gunfire?
Yes, it is.
States 5X. Just a close-up of that photograph?
That's correct, sir.
Or of that damage?
Yes, sir.
Publishing State 7A is an alpha. It's at the front end of the Charger.
It is, yes, sir.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Detective, was there an officer who came out at the scene, a Detective McNamara from the Tampa Police Department, that was part of a federal task force?
Yes, sir.
And as a result of his association to the federal task force, did employees from the, or individuals from the federal ATF come out to the crime scene?
Yes, sir, they did.
And that's alcohol, tobacco, firearms?
Yes, sir.
And other than the one shell casing that was collected and impounded by the Tampa Police Department, were the other shell casings collected by Tampa Police Department personnel but then provided to the ATF personnel?
Yes, eventually they were, yes, sir.
Okay. And, well, were they provided after being processed through a TPD?
Once they got submitted into evidence by the techs and assigned a property tag number, then they were transferred to the custody of the ATF, yes, sir.
And it was a total of 31 9mm shell casings in the scene?
A total of 31, yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to call your attention back to the Charger. States 6B. We can see what appears to be the red shorts of the victim and the victim's body still in the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 6C, we can see the Hyundai over here.
That's correct.
And when I say over here, to the west, northwest of that Charger.
Yes, sir.
Stage 6E, victim's legs and socks.
That's correct.
And stage 6F, we can see the victim's upper body, his right arm, his hair, and a stocking cap, and his upper body.
Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that his body is face down, straddling over the center console into the back seat?
Yes, sir.
would that position be consistent with him attempting to take cover?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, stage 6G is in golf. We can clearly see in these photographs that we are now, well, you were now at that time clearly into daylight hours.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want to talk to you about that. When the Tampa Police Department in the city of Tampa in Hillsborough County, which is contained within Hillsborough County,
Yes, sir.
when you respond to a homicide scene, does the homicide unit, if you determine that there is a deceased individual that you believe is the victim of a homicide, do you contact other agencies to respond to that scene other than law enforcement?
Yes, we did.
Well, at least TPD.
Yes, sir.
Is one of the agencies the state attorney's office?
Yes, sir.
And when a body is still in the scene, does an assistant state attorney normally respond out to the scene?
Yes, sir.
And is that to assist with legal issues such as search warrants and that type of thing?
That's correct.
Maybe charging decisions.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Do you also contact the Hillsborough County Medical Examiner's office?
Yes, sir.
And do they maintain a dispatch?
They do. Yes, sir.
And do they dispatch personnel to the scene to conduct their investigation of the scene?
Yes, sir. They do.
Ultimately, inevitably, when you have a victim of a homicide in a scene like this, and you, in this case, you believe the victim was killed by gunshots or gunfire, is the body ultimately transported from the scene to the medical examiner's office?
Yes, it is.
And is that for the purpose of an autopsy examination?
Yes, sir. It is.
And is that for the purpose of determining the cause of death and the manner of death?
Yes, sir.
All right. So when the body's in the scene like that, well, first of all, let me talk about the medical examiner's office. After they are contacted, does that take sometimes up to several hours before they can get personnel to the scene?
Depending on their call volume that they have to respond to. Yes, sir.
And is that especially true when it's early in the morning or in non-business hours?
Yes, sir.
And on some occasions, do actual associate medical examiners, the doctors who perform the autopsies, do they actually respond?
They do. Yes, sir.
But almost always do they have forensic investigators who respond.
Yes, they do.
And they will take their own photographs and they will view the body.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Before the medical examiner's office personnel arrive at the scene, is the body, if it can be helped, is the body changed, affected, moved in any way?
No, sir.
Are you trying to maintain the position of the victim's body and the dynamics around the body until the medical examiner's office can get there to look at it?
Yes, sir. We are.
And in fact, under the law, does the medical examiner's office have jurisdiction over that body
Yes, they do.
until it's taken to the autopsy examination?
Yes, sir. They do.
Okay. So legally, you really are not supposed to be manipulating the body or molesting it in any way or moving it. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And since this takes sometimes hours for them to respond, does that sometimes lead to this type of situation where the body is still in the scene for several hours?
Yeah, and add in the addition of having to obtain search warrants to enter into a vehicle to retrieve evidence
Right.
being the body as well. Yes, it's not uncommon for it to take several hours to do that.
And once they arrive, after taking their photographs, will they commonly manipulate the body, check the body, move the body, look for injuries on the body?
Yes, sir.
Do they go through clothing, check pockets, things like that, remove items of maybe found like a wallet, maybe something that's inside of a pocket, like
Yep.
a lighter, a wallet, something like that?
Sure, yes, sir.
Okay. In this situation, if someone was to ask, why didn't you cover Mr. Jones with a sheet just for dignity purposes? Are you supposed to do that, to cover a body in this circumstance with just a sheet?
No, we avoid that at all costs. It's for the purpose of, avoiding any kind of contamination to the body, to the evidence that may be deposited on the body and around the body.
So the fact that a body may lay in a scene, and it may be out in the open on a parking lot, and it may be a somewhat undignified situation, is just not preventable.
No.
Now, in that circumstance, if the body's out in the open, you all have blinds sometimes that you'll put up. If it's in the middle of the daylight, there's public around to try to protect the dignity of the victim. Is that correct?
If we can use them, we try to.
And the integrity of your investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But in this instance, the body was inside of a motor vehicle, and there was a huge crime scene protecting it.
Yes, sir.
Tape was around it, protecting it, keeping the public away.
Yes, sir.
All right. Stage 6, K is in kilo. This photograph appears to depict maybe a phone charger and some phones laying on the front passenger seat,
Yes, sir.
and some shoes.
Yes, sir.
Were those determined to be associated to Mr. Jones?
Yes, they were, sir.
Stage 6M. And is this documenting the process I talked about earlier where the victim's pockets are emptied?
Yes, sir.
And here we have a key fob and a driver's license and looks like a credit card or a debit card.
Yes, sir.
Is this Mr. Jones' driver's license?
It is, yes, sir.
Showing an address in Jacksonville?
Yes, sir.
His date of birth, 6/21/98, his height, 5'11", expiration date, et cetera.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did it come to your attention fairly quickly in this investigation that Mr. Jones was from the city of Jacksonville,
Yes, sir.
and that there were other individuals in his car and the individuals in the car behind him and to the side of him that fled and came back and were later you made contact with them, that they were all from Jacksonville?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Your Honor, the state would tender states Exhibit 19A as an alpha through G as in golf, and Exhibit 20A as in alpha, P as in Peter.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection.
Mr. Sinardi?
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Wise?
There you
Mr. Petratus? Will be admitted.
Earlier, we saw the damage to the exterior windows of the northwest side of the home to suite. So I want to talk to you about your investigation of that.
Sure.
In States 19A, did your investigation lead you to room number 230 on the second floor of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
And
And
is
I'm
this-
sorry,
I'm
Mr.
sorry?
Harmon, the time kind of got away from me. I realize it's
Yes.
almost 11.
That's fine.
Does anyone need a comfort break? Yes, okay, all right, very good, sorry. All right, 5-minute recess, we'll be back.
All rise.
we bring out the jury, the next witnesses that we have are gonna be some lay witnesses, and I sent you and.
I got the
defense counsel-
list.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bring in our jury.
Actually, we had two still using restroom.
Okay.
All rise. All jurors are in the
Okay, very good. Welcome back, members of the jury, and Mr. Harmon, you may proceed.
Detective, earlier we were talking about and looking at damage to exterior windows of motel rooms, hotel rooms, on the northwest and western side of the hotel. And I'm gonna show you, States 19A, that's in evidence now. This is depicting, it looks like the front of room 230, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's on the second floor, obviously.
Yes, it is.
And did you go there, following up on the exterior damage?
Yes, we did.
Were you allowed into the room?
Yes, we were.
States 19B. Since we're looking at photographs, were there crime scene technicians that went with you or participated in this investigation?
Yes, there were, sir.
States 19C. States States 19D is in Delta. What does this photograph depict?
The window in the room and the projectile strike damage to that window.
It appears, looking outside of that window, we can see the top of the dumpster area.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Would that put this room slightly north of that dumpster?
Yes, it would.
States 19E. Is that just a close-up of the defect in the window caused by the projectile?
Yes, sir, it is.
States 19F. We previously saw that window sits above the air conditioning unit.
That's correct, sir.
Was there some item found on top of the unit?
Yes, sir, fragmentation.
States 19G. Did you collect that
Yes.
item?
Yes, sir.
Did that appear to be associated with gunfire?
Yes, it did, sir.
Moving on to states 20A, and now going to the fourth floor of the hotel. States 20A is in Alpha. You're now at room 430.
That's correct.
States 20B is in Bravo. Is that the interior of the room?
It is, yes, sir.
States 20C is in Charlie. Just another view of the interior with the beds, and now we're looking at, I guess, partially the roof, ceiling.
Yes, sir.
States 20D is in Delta. Was there some damage or defect in the wall that was being documented
Yes, sir.
in this area here?
That's correct.
States 20E. Is that a close-up?
Yes, it is.
Going back to States 20C, was that in an area above one of these beds?
It was, yes, sir.
States 20F is in Foxtrot. Is this the window of the room
Yes, sir.
with the blinds that are still, well, the blinds are closed?
Yes, sir.
Was there damage to the blinds caused by impact to the window by some gunfire?
Yes, sir.
States 20G, and is that the impact of the window?
Yes, sir, with the blinds rolled up, yes, sir.
States 20H, is that damage to a window?
Yes, sir.
States 20I, as in India. Did you find damage in the adjoining room, 432?
Yes, we did, sir.
States 20J is in Juliet. Is that just entering the room, a photograph?
It is, yes, sir.
These rooms were occupied.
430 and 432 were occupied, yes, sir.
States 20K. And we can see here, it looks like the window, the blind is halfway up or partially up.
Yes, sir.
States 20L is in Lima. Is there some defect on the wall that's documented here?
Yes, sir.
See if I can close it. States 20M, a little bit of a close-up of that.
It is, yes, sir.
Just so we can see in contrast or where it is relevant. Okay, perfect. States 20N is in November. Is that a close-up of the damage?
Yes, sir.
States 20O is in Oscar. Was there damage not just to that wall, but also on the ceiling?
Yes, sir.
States 20P is in Peter. Are there defects here in the ceiling?
Yes, sir.
The damage that we've been looking at, would it all be consistent with gunfire?
Yes, it would, sir.
Being caused by gunfire?
Yes, sir, it would.
The state would tender for admission into evidence states 22A through B and states 23.
Any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise? Mr. Petridis? Admitted?
Publishing states 1. All right, detectives, so just to orient ourselves, we have the south end of the hotel in the portico, the area where the Lexus was parked. And we have these parking spots that are lined up north to south that we talked about. And then we have in the curb angles at a 45 degree approximately to the north-northwest. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And there appears to be a drive heading into the back of the Holiday Inn.
That's correct.
In this area, was there a Tesla charging station?
Yes, it was.
And in your investigation, did you come into contact with the owner of a Tesla that was being charged during this incident?
Yes, we did, sir.
Did he agree to meet with you?
He did.
States 8 Delta. again, the Lexus, just to orient us where we are, and we see this car, these cars parked facing east, so in a west-east orientation, but then we see a car facing northeast.
Yes, sir.
At an oblique to these cars or to this spot. Is this the approximate area where the Tesla charging station
Yeah,
is?
right there by those trees where the bend in the parking lot is, yes, sir.
And when you met with the owner of the Tesla, did you and Detective Kirkpatrick both meet with him?
Yes, we did.
Why were you meeting with him? Why did you summons him? Or did he come to you?
No, we tracked him down. He was a guest at the Homeview Suites. Reason being, myself and Detective Kirkpatrick both know from experience that Teslas can be equipped with a thing called Sentry Mode, which basically takes the Tesla uses cameras all around. That's how it navigates and does the self-driving stuff and everything. But it can also use those cameras if the Sentry Mode is enabled to record activities around the car, if there's some type of motion or movement around the car, basically as a security feature.
Okay. And the owner of the vehicle, did he come downstairs and actually meet with you at the Tesla itself?
Yes, he did.
Did he access that security system internally within the Tesla?
He did.
Was he able to locate recorded and stored video footage from the time or around the time the shooting occurred?
Yes, he did.
And did you view it?
I did.
How did you view it?
On the screen in the Tesla itself, on the dashboard, there's a big computer screen that basically runs the entire vehicle. That's where we viewed the video that was stored on a small hard drive that he had hooked up to in the glove box of his car.
Did you locate video that depicted the attackers in this case traveling near the Tesla, both traveling to the area where the shooting occurred and then traveling or running away from it?
Yes, we did, sir.
Did you collect that video?
Yes, we did.
Your Honor, we're going to publish States 23.
Okay.
First, before you do, just Detective, is this the beginning of that footage that was collected?
It appears so, yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Detective, does that appear to be the same car that had passed earlier?
Yes, sir.
And then we have a second car.
That's correct.
The first car, the black car, did that end up being a Chevy Impala?
It did, yes, sir.
That became a suspect vehicle in this case.
Yes, sir.
The second car, is that a silver Chevy Cruze?
It is, yes, sir.
And did that become a suspect car in this case?
It did, yes, sir.
And it appears the Cruze just did a 3-point turn and turned back around to
That's
head
correct.
to the south.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So would it be fair to say this camera is facing in that same oblique direction as the car we were looking at, so to the northeast,
Yes, sir.
towards the western side of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
The people who just ran by in the videos that were later collected from the hotel, did they appear to be consistent with the shooters
They do, yes, sir.
and how they're dressed?
Yes, sir.
And did they appear to be carrying weapons?
Yes, they did.
Is that the Dodge Charger?
It is.
And again, the two shooters?
Yes, sir.
Now, is this a different camera?
Yes, sir. This is the rear camera, or rear-facing camera.
Is that on the western, northwestern side of the vehicle?
Yes,
Is this a third shooter being reflected?
it is.
Does, in this video, can we see the charge, one of the charging stations?
Yes, we can. Yes, sir.
And does that one appear to be hooked up to the car?
It does. Yes, sir.
Does that appear to be the same person that came by earlier?
It does. Yes, sir.
We saw some white flashing, but then we saw a consistent, persistent flashing. That second flashing, what was that?
I believe the vehicle's actual security system activating with the lights flashing.
In this view, did we see that same third shooter run past both charging stations on the rear of the Tesla?
Yes, sir.
Is that what this camera, where it's mounted and where it's, I guess, recording from?
Yes, sir. Right above the tag.
Is that the same third shooter individual?
It is. Yes, sir.
And we saw him firing a rifle?
Yes, sir.
Is this another camera on the car?
Yes, sir. It's the passenger side camera.
So the Tesla was facing out of the parking spot?
Yes, it was.
Same individual?
Yes, sir.
Is that the headlights of the Charger?
Yes, sir.
Is this the original camera position we were looking at?
It is, yes, sir.
And does it show the flashing lights of the alarm system?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna do 22A through B. What's it? Yeah. Detective, did you and Detective Kirkpatrick also investigate the surveillance video system of the hotel?
Yes, we did, sir.
And were you able to find and locate video recording from around the time of the shooting incident, several minutes before and several minutes after?
Yes, sir.
And did that system contain multiple cameras around the perimeter of the hotel?
It did, yes, sir.
Did you collect video from multiple cameras, both on the eastern side, the western side, the northern side of the home to suites?
Yes, sir.
So, have you seen this exhibit in a composite showing multiple camera views around,
Yes, sir.
tracking the vehicles as they enter the parking lot?
That's correct, yes, sir.
All right, Your Honor, we're going to publish States 22A.
Okay.
So, if you can assist us with some narration here, is this the Impala entering the parking lot?
It is, yes, sir.
And is it heading now northbound on the eastern side?
It is, yes, sir.
Continuing northbound?
Yes, sir.
Is that vehicle now passing into the northern end of the parking lot?
It is, yes, sir.
And now is that vehicle on the western side of the home to suites,
Yes, sir.
facing south,
Yes, sir.
and it would have just passed the Tesla?
It would have, yes, sir.
Does it appear to now be turning and heading back to the north?
Yes, sir.
And does it do that just to the north of the edge of the southern end of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
Now, this camera, is this on the southern end of the hotel facing south, and then another camera facing southwest?
Yes, sir.
And do we see the Chevy Cruze again?
Yes, we do.
And is it now on the western side of the hotel,
It is.
near the Tesla?
Yes, sir.
And that's, again, the Tesla being worked in with the hotel cameras?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in this composite. The hotel recording system, the cameras, especially the ones showing the portico from both ends, was the timestamp on that determined to be a couple of minutes slow?
Yes, sir. It was 1 minute and 45 seconds slow, I believe.
1 minute and 45 seconds. So to get real time, we would have to add 1 minute and 45 seconds to the time being reflected.
That's correct.
Date was correct?
It was, yes, sir.
At the very top of that video, could you see the Impala parking?
It is, sir, yes. Backing into a space.
All right, and now the Cruze is leaving.
Yes, sir.
Which direction does the Cruze turn onto 40th McKinley?
Southbound, sir.
That would take it in the direction of the Moffitt Cancer Center down south of there?
Yes.
And this is, again, the Tesla that we saw earlier, video
Yes, sir.
from the Tesla? Do we see here the collision between the fleeing Altima
Yes, sir.
and Hyundai? Does it appear that the shooter who was near the tree bumped into the bottom of the tree with his head?
Yes, sir.
Does it appear one of the shooters ran through the patio area?
Yes, sir.
And then came out running past the Tesla?
Yes, sir.
Okay. From the sequence of events, when the third shooter who went behind the Tesla charging stations, when he comes back up and is firing his weapon in rapid fire down the western side of the hotel, does that appear to set off the alarm system on the car there?
We're going to object. The state continue to narrate the video. I think they can ask what the detective saw, but not narrating what they, the state, believes is on the video.
Well, you are leading, so Mr. Harmon, just rephrase your question.
Sure. The alarm system that goes off on the car, does that appear to you to be at a time near the shooter shooting up the west side of the hotel?
It does, yes, sir.
Do you believe there was some association between the two?
I do, sir, yes.
What do you believe happened there?
Just the overpressure and concussion of the shots being fired from a rifle in close proximity to the vehicle would have created enough vibration to trigger an alarm system, similar to like a firework being ignited next to a car that's equipped with an alarm.
Oh, I did, that's fine. I'll tender the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez,
No objection, excuse me, no questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Sonardi,
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Wise,
Thank you, Your Honor.
you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Detective.
Morning.
I want to just go back over a few of the things we heard about this morning. A lot of evidence was collected at the crime scene.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Among those things, numerous 9mm casings, correct?
Yes, sir.
I think we heard 31.
Yes, sir.
All right, and 29 of those, I believe you said, were turned over to ATF for further processing, correct?
30 of them.
30 of them.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
And when these casings and any of these items are collected, it's typically done by crime scene technicians.
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And you oversee that.
That's correct.
But you want to ensure that all of these items are kept in the natural state they're in when they're found so that they can be preserved for testing later.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things ATF was able to do, and one of the reasons it was turned over to them, these casings, is they have a process to actually test these casings for potential DNA.
That's correct.
And then they also can do other, forensic testing to try to potentially match the casings to each other and to a gun.
Yes, sir.
Correct. And that was the reason that one of them also was kept for TPD, not for the DNA testing, but for brass track Sniven comparison, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's the process, or one of the processes by which casings can be compared to one another.
Yes, sir.
You also collected, I think we heard a lot about this, but several projectiles, correct?
Yes, sir.
And not just whole projectiles. For instance, I'll show you what is in evidence is 9C. I'd like to show you what what's already in evidence is 9C. Is that a projectile?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that one is, it looks to be in pretty well intact. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And some of them, for instance, 9G would be fragments from a projectile, correct?
Yes, sir.
One of the important characteristics that you might be looking for in these fragments, we can see it somewhat, for instance, in this one, 9T, would be these striations in the projectile, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's rifling?
Usually rifling, could be the crimping at the edge, depends on where it is on it itself, but generally rifling, yes, sir.
And rifling, and this may have been covered this morning, but rifling, those are the marks that are left behind on a projectile from the barrel that the projectile travels through, right?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And that can be important in an investigation like this because firearms examiners can compare those riflings to other projectiles and to potentially other firearms to determine what caliber the projectile may be and what firearm might have fired it, correct?
Yes, sir.
So any projectiles that you find are pretty critical pieces of evidence, correct?
Yes, depending on the quality of the evidence, but yes.
Sure,
it's
sure.
crucial to find them.
Some may be so broken up they can't be of use, right?
That's correct.
Some, especially any that have rifling left on them, can potentially be pretty important.
Yes, sir.
And then, I don't know if this was covered, but you didn't only collect projectiles from the scene of the shooting, but I believe the next day you actually also collected several projectiles from the Dodge Charger as well, correct?
Fragments, but yes, sir.
Fragments. And it was, what, maybe about 8 or so fragments collected from the Dodge Charger?
I'd have to refer to my report, but that sounds about right.
You listed them in your report,
I
right?
did,
Each specific one?
Yes, sir.
And again, those are pretty important because these are projectiles coming from the shooter who likely would have killed Mr. Jones, right?
That's correct.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Petridis? Okay, redirect, Mr. Harmon?
Yes, Your Honor. Detective, counsel for Mr. Gathright just brought up NIBIN, so I want to talk to you about that. NIBIN is a process where shell casings are put into a system, and there's a screening process to see if they may be related to other shell casings that have been collected in other crimes or scenes.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
But even if they're associated, that is simply a screening process, correct?
Yes, sir. The bullet or the fragment or actually in this case the casing for NIBIN that's being analyzed would eventually have to go to a crime laboratory for an actual microscopic comparison.
So that's just an investigative tool that may lead to evidence that you would then submit to a firearms examiner or analyst at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Yeah, it's just for investigative leads only.
Okay. And then you would base your findings or your investigation on the findings of that firearm analyst, correct?
That's correct.
And you have submitted evidence to the firearms lab at FDLE in the past?
I have, yes, sir.
How many times?
More than I can count, especially in 5 years in homicide and 2 years, almost 2 years in the gun unit. A lot.
Okay, a lot. And do you rely upon their findings?
Yes.
Okay. And you've been asked about the importance of projectiles and items located in crime scenes like this from firearms as to whether they are potentially important or critical evidence or and you responded, it depends on the quality of the item, correct?
That's correct.
It depends on whether it has characteristics that lend itself to comparison.
That's correct.
So if you have an item like the ones we saw where you have a flattened piece of lead with no rifling on it and no striations on it, that is of zero quality to a firearms analyst, isn't it?
That's correct.
Those cannot be compared to any rifle or to anything.
That's correct.
It's only items that touch the inside of the barrel where the rifling is that actually have imparted rifling where you could potentially compare it.
Yes, sir. We usually send off more whole pieces, whole bullets, whole projectiles that we can get that have limited deformities to them, because we know that that's
Right.
best quality evidence.
Now, in this scene, you had 31 shell casings, correct?
Yes, sir, 31.
All right. So at least 31 9mm projectiles were fired, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And if those 9mm projectiles were recovered, you would not expect them to match an AR rifle that is chambered in 300 blackout or 5.56, right?
No,
Different caliber class, right?
that's correct.
Okay. And if, like you were talking about, a high-powered, high-pressure, the same pressure that set off the alarm of the Tesla, if that high-powered round passes through automotive glass or sheet metal and fragments, like the rounds or the articles that you found inside of or may have collected from the Charger, and they fragment away from the jacket, or even the jacket is separated and it fragments, you can have items that have no quality or maybe some quality, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, I can rephrase.
Yes.
If they fragment and the jacketing either departs from the core of the bullet or is deformed in some way, would you expect it to have value for comparison to
No.
to a rifle or to any other item?
no, some of those fragments, when they start separating, are almost microscopic.
Nothing else.
Okay, may this witness be excused, subject to recall?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Detective, you're free to go. State, you have a quick witness?
I do, Your Honor. I would like to call Joa Randolph.
Okay. And, so before we bring the witness in, I want to alert the media that this is a witness that has requested that their identity not be portrayed, as they're testifying. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
I have the ones I need.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this class will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got?
Come this way.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Randolph, I'm going to ask you to kind of get a little bit close to the microphone because I know that you're a little soft-spoken. Please state your full name for the record.
Okay, that's way, you gotta project your voice a little bit. Let me see where that microphone is. Yeah, you gotta lean the microphone and try and speak up, because if I'm having trouble hearing you, that means everybody else is gonna have trouble.
Much better, thank you. Ms. Randolph, what city do you live in?
Jacksonville,
How long have you lived in Jacksonville?
my whole life.
Can you say
My whole life.
your whole life? Okay. And do you know somebody by the name of Charles Jones?
Yes.
How long have you known Charles Jones?
Since 6th grade.
6th grade? And when you speak, I'm going to ask you to kind of to get really close to that mic because it projects your voice out. You said that you know Mr. Jones since the 6th grade. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did Mr. Jones, did he like to rap?
Yes.
Did he do that even in grade school?
Yes.
Does he have a nickname now that he was an adult?
Yes.
What was his nickname?
Foolio.
Okay. And did he have, was there another part to that? Was there a name before Foolio that sometimes he also went by?
I guess Julio Foolio.
Julio Foolio? Okay.
Foolio regularly.
And let's go to June 22nd of 2024. Did you come down to Tampa during that weekend?
Yes.
Okay, and was that a Saturday?
I don't know.
Do you know if it was the weekend?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you come down to Tampa from Jacksonville during that weekend?
Money.
You said Monty. Is that a nickname for somebody by the name of Armani Turner?
Yes.
How do you know Armani Turner?
We're friends.
Friends. And how long have you been friends with Miss Armani Turner?
7 years.
7 years. Back in June of 2024, was Armani Turner, was she dating Charles Jones?
Yes.
And you said you traveled down with her, is that correct, from Jacksonville to Tampa?
Yes.
And how did you get here?
A car.
A car. Who owned that car?
Money.
Okay, so it was Armani Turner's car, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's already in evidence. States Exhibit 2E. Can you see that on your screen? And I'm going to, let me take that out of Zoom. Do you see that vehicle, ma'am?
Yes.
And do you recognize that car?
Yes.
And whose car is that?
Money's.
Armani's? Okay. And I know that you keep calling her Monty. I'm going to formally call her Miss Turner, okay?
Okay.
But I know that that's how you know her. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you came down in that vehicle with her. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you come to Tampa that weekend with Armani Turner?
For Charles' birthday.
Okay. For Charles Jones' birthday?
Yes.
There was a celebration here in Tampa?
Yes.
And where was that celebration going to be?
At a club.
At a club? Okay. And where were you going to stay overnight?
A B&B.
An Airbnb?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with Tampa?
No.
Did you know what the address of that Airbnb was?
No.
Was that somewhere located near Tampa?
I thought it was Tampa.
It was in Tampa, is that correct?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. So you went to an Airbnb on Saturday, is that correct?
Yes.
Was there anyone else with you in the car and Armani Turner coming from Jacksonville to Tampa?
Yes.
Who else was with you?
Trying to think of the name.
Oh, you can't remember the name? Was there another, was there a gentleman that was with you?
Yes.
Okay. And does Xavier Edwards, does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, leaving.
Sustained as to leading.
Were you familiar with all of the names of the people that were involved at that Airbnb with you and Miss Armani Turner?
Kind of.
Had you previously given testimony in this case regarding who you were with and who you drove from Tampa with Armani Turner?
Yes.
With looking at your prior testimony, would that help refresh your recollection?
No. Xavier was with us.
So does that, okay, you do remember that the person was named Xavier?
Yes.
Okay. And so it was just the three of you coming from Jacksonville to Tampa, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said that you went to an Airbnb. Who was at the Airbnb when you arrived?
Other people, I guess people who came down there, people from there, Charles and whoever came with them.
Okay. And you said there were already people there. What time do you think that you arrived?
11:45, 11:50, something like that.
Okay.
A little before 12.
Okay. Are we talking in the
PM.
PM at night, right? So it's pretty late at night. And you said that Charles Jones was there, is that correct?
Yes.
And there were some other people from Jacksonville?
Yes.
Did you know all of the people that were there?
No.
Did you know some of the people that were there?
Yes.
Who were some of the other people that you knew who were there at the Airbnb?
Charles, Gino, Robert.
Okay. We're going to take it one at a time. You said Charles Jones, is that correct?
Yes. Gino and Robert.
Gino and Robert. Gino Norris and Robert Howard?
Yes.
You had met all of those people before, is that correct?
Correct.
And were there other individuals there that you said that you did not know who they were?
Yes.
While you were at the Airbnb, did anything unusual, any sort of fights or any problems break out at the Airbnb?
No.
At some point, did law enforcement respond to the Airbnb?
Yes.
Why did law enforcement respond there?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. At some point, did you and everybody who was at the Airbnb have to pack up and leave out of the Airbnb?
Yes.
And did you help do that?
Yes.
And what about Miss Turner? Did she also assist?
Yes.
And after you had packed up, what did you do at that point?
Went to the performance.
Okay, to the clubs, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember what the name of the clubs were?
I never knew them.
You never knew the names?
No.
Okay. Going back to the Airbnb before you left, were there people that were partying at the Airbnb?
Yes, they had already left before the police came.
Okay. So there were only a few people there when the police actually showed up, is that correct?
Yes.
During that night after you had arrived at the Airbnb, had you been drinking at all?
Yes.
And even though, how much did you have to drink, if you can tell us, if you remember?
Not that much.
So you still remember the night of that evening pretty well?
I won't forget it.
And so at that Airbnb, were there times where your friend Charles Jones, that he went on Instagram Live?
Not while I was there.
Not while you were there? Were there times during the night that you saw him go on Instagram Live?
No.
Do you remember being at a club with him?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember kind of going up to the steps with one of the clubs?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember him at that point, any time during that point of him going on Instagram?
No.
You don't remember?
No.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit. When you are leaving the Airbnb and going to the clubs, who are you riding with?
Armani.
Armani. In the same car, that Hyundai that we just showed in States Exhibit 2E?
Yes.
Is there anyone with you and Armani Turner when you are leaving the Airbnb and going to the clubs?
No, it's just me and Armani in the car.
Was there, at some point, were you following anyone to get to the clubs?
We was behind Charles' car from the B&B to the first club, from the first club to the second club. We was literally, where he went, we went. He didn't go nowhere without us.
And who was driving?
Armani.
And you said that she was following Charles Jones, is that correct?
Yes.
Did she know where she was going?
No, we just followed his car.
And you said from club to club, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you know or pay attention to where those clubs were located?
I don't know the city.
And at any of the clubs that you were with that night with Charles Jones and Armani Turner, were there any issues or any problems during those two places where you were at the clubs?
No.
What happened after the clubs?
We was looking for somewhere to go.
Because the Airbnb was no longer available, is that correct?
Correct.
And so what happened? Where did you go after the last club that you were at with Miss Armani Turner and Charles Jones?
We went to a hotel.
A hotel, okay. Do you remember the name of the hotel?
No.
And so how many cars go to the hotel that are involved with Charles Jones' party?
3.
3, is that correct?
Yes.
So again, did you and Armani Turner follow Charles Jones' vehicle to a hotel?
Yes,
And you said that there was another car, is that correct?
yes.
What happens when you get to that hotel?
We were sitting in the car, and he went in to go check on the reservations he had made while we was in the last club. And he comes out, and he called us and was like, see if we can find another hotel, because they said they gave the reservations away. And then we was looking for somewhere else to go, because somebody else called and said everything in Tampa was booked up. So they had to go back towards the B&B. And as we were doing that, we started getting shot at.
I'm going to stop you a little bit and back up a little bit. You said he went back into the hotel. Who are you referring to?
Well, Charles went to the hotel to check on the reservations he made. He came back out, got in the car, called us, and said we got to find somewhere else because they gave away the reservations. And then that's when we start hearing gunshots.
And you are still in the vehicle, the Hyundai, with Miss Armani Turner, is that correct?
Correct.
Is there anyone else in the vehicle at that time when you went from the last club to the hotel?
Robert.
Robert, are you referring to Robert Howard?
Yes.
Okay. So he was also in the vehicle with you and Armani Turner, is that correct?
Correct.
And then Charles Jones was in his vehicle, is that correct?
Correct.
And I'm gonna go ahead and put 2E back on the screen. Do you also see the vehicle belonging to Charles Jones in this picture?
Yes.
And can you tell us what vehicle, where that's located in the photo?
The black Charger.
And it's right here, is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, the one that I'm pointing to that is to the left of the photograph.
Yes.
And is that the vehicle that Armani Turner was following all night?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to getting to the hotel, did you or Armani Turner or anyone with you, or you yourself see or be alerted to anyone following you?
No.
Were you paying attention or expecting any of that to happen?
No, I was out the window.
And you said at some point you were at the hotel, is that correct? And Charles Jones comes back out?
Yes.
And you're just seated in your vehicle, or I'm sorry, in Armani Turner's vehicle, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And where are you seated in the vehicle?
Either the passenger seat or in the back seat.
And you don't remember where you were seated?
No. I was in both because we were sitting for like a little minute, so I went back and forth. At the time that the gun started going off, I don't know if I was in the front or the back.
So during different rides that night, you had changed your position, is that correct?
I changed when we was sitting in front of the hotel.
Okay. And so what happened, you said you started hearing shooting, is that correct?
Correct.
What happened when you heard the shooting?
We was trying to figure out where it was coming from, and then as it got louder, we started to drive off, and then we ended up hitting the other car that was with us.
And who was driving at that point?
Monty was still driving.
And you said that she ended up hitting the other car that was with your party, is that correct?
Mhm.
Did you know who was in the other car?
I think his cousin or Charles' cousin or something.
Charles Jones' cousin, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know what his name was?
No, I don't know him.
What happened after those two cars, Armani, the car that you were in, and the other car hit each other?
We pulled off. I guess we went separate ways, and we was driving down the street, and we seen another car pull out, and we thought that was Charles' car, so we turned around, but that car kept going. So then we rode down the street and found the police officer and told them we just got shot at, and then they wasn't listening, so we got back in the car and rode off, and they started following us, and we just led them back to the hotel and drove around until we found Charles' car.
Okay. And was that the first time in States 2E where they're positioned, is that the first time after you had left the parking lot that you saw Charles Jones' vehicle again?
Yes.
And was that, and I'm going to go to 2E, oh, hold on one second. Oh, is that I touched you? Oh. And are these the positions that the vehicles ended up in when you came back?
Yes, we stopped right here because we seen the car and the doors open.
And when you got out of the vehicle, you said law enforcement at that point had been following you, is that correct?
Yes.
What happened when you got out of the vehicle, when you were back at that scene in front of the hotel?
They pulled guns on us and tried to arrest us for running away from them.
And were you upset at that point?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you say at that point?
We just got shot at.
So you're trying to explain what happened?
Yes.
Okay. And eventually, did law enforcement then respond into the hotel?
Yes.
Okay. And were there also law enforcement officers from the University of South Florida there?
I don't know.
Okay. Were there some law enforcement officers that stayed with you and got information from you and Ms. Turner and Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Did you see, from where you were seated, and when you got out of the vehicle, could you see into the black Dodge Charger?
When I got out the car, I could see into his car.
And what did you see, ma'am?
A person.
Did you recognize the person that was in the vehicle?
I didn't know exactly that it was him, but I did see somebody.
Could you see any sort of movement at that point?
No.
And other than that person that you saw, did you see anyone else near the vehicle at that time?
No, it was only one person.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been already into evidence 2B6.
Do I gotta watch this?
We're not gonna show all of it. I'm gonna have her stop it. I'm just gonna ask you where your vehicle is and who's in each vehicle that you are aware of, okay? Yep, stop it right there. Okay, ma'am, you see where, the black Charger is in this vehicle, in this video, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Where is Armani Turner's vehicle, the vehicle that you are in this video?
Directly behind it.
Okay. And so that is the vehicle behind the black Charger under the portico, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Where is the other vehicle that is his cousin, where is that located?
On the side of the driver's side.
Okay. And you're saying driver's side and you're kind of pointing. Is it the vehicle with the lights on that's kind of faced in the other direction, not under the portico? Ma'am, if you want to turn behind you, do you see there's a big giant video up there? Can you point out where the friend's car is?
I believe it's the car under the port that's right next to us.
Okay. Can we, hold on one second.
Because his car wasn't facing the same direction that we were facing. It was facing the opposite way.
Right. We're going to play just a portion of it. Can you fast forward it to where they're moving? Don't show it. Can we shut this screen off for a second? So I'm going to show you at this time stamp of 6:22. Do you see Armani Turner's car backing out?
Yes.
And is that the friend's car that crashed into her?
Yes.
Okay. Anna, do you want to shut that off? Okay. After you guys got back to the scene and were able to provide statements to law enforcement, did you see any other people that were from the original party at that scene?
Yes.
Okay. Did other people start to show up at that scene after law enforcement had arrived?
Yes.
Do
you know who Aaliyah Albritton is?
No,
Okay. Had you ever met her before?
no,
And you said that there were people from Jacksonville who you were not aware of, is that correct?
yes,
And at some point, did Charles Jones, did his mother arrive at the scene as well?
I wasn't there when she got there,
Okay, that, you had already left at that point?
yes.